What's going on, guys? Alex here, 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the RR Standard prototype. This is a knife designed by Knife Standards, and this was a pre-order that actually I think just went live. I think earlier this month, first weekend in October, somewhere around there. So obviously it has passed by now, but I will leave the link to his website and to his Instagram page down below in the description. So if you're interested in this knife, go check it out. I think from what I've understood, he is going to do a drop whenever the knives come in, in a couple months from now. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. But I do have a letter here that came in the package, and I didn't want to read it with the unboxing. I wanted to read it for the full review. But this was actually dated July 11th, 2022. Today is October 13th, so it has been July to August, August to September. So it's been 3 months basically since this knife got to Kevin. And that's who it was, addressed to and stuff like that. So it is a Kevin, or a lefty EDC pass around knife. And it's been making its way through some other channels and stuff like that, and it has finally come to me. And I've really enjoyed this knife, guys. I think it's cool. I think the story behind it is really cool. I did not pick one up because I was waiting for some other pre-orders to come in, but I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for it whenever they come in officially, production versions and stuff like that. I'm definitely going to have to, think about picking one up then, because again, I think it's a cool knife. I think the story behind it is really, really cool, and kind of tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. And that's what this letter's coming in for. So this is called the RR Standard because the designer, who I don't know, his name is escaping me right now, but his initials are ATR. So I don't remember what his first name is. But he, I believe, was a YouTube knife reviewer, just like me, just like us, other reviewers here on the tube. And he was really into knives, and he wanted to start designing his own knife. And he had a conversation with his dad, and talking about his reviews of other people's knives. And eventually he showed him, I believe it was a rough sketch of his design that he was kind of creating. And tragically, his dad passed away. I think it's what it says right here. It says, tragically, my dad passed away a few weeks after we had this conversation, after he showed him the sketch. So he took that, tragedy and turned it into his mission to make this knife a reality. And it says, it took him a year of constant work and obsessing, and many, many more sketches led me to the RR Standard, which is what I'm holding here now, and is named after his dad, which I think that's really cool. I think, tragedy is something that happens to, every one of us in some way, shape, or form. And I love, seeing the great things that can come out of it. And, the positivity that somebody could have that can take such a dark time in their life and use it to motivate them to do something, or to get to a goal. So I really have to applaud him for, designing this and for sticking with his goal. And I'm sure his dad is smiling down and is, very proud of him right now. So, but like I said, this is a pre-order. It already went live, and currently on the website it is sold out. So you cannot get one right now. But I will leave, like I said, the website and the Instagram page linked down below if you want to check it out. There are 3 different versions of it. This one is the stone milled, which is my favorite. It's definitely the one that I would have bought or potentially will buy in the future. There's also a standard and a blacked out version. The pre-order price was $365. The regular price is going to be $385. So you save $20 if you join in the pre-order. And then we have a second page here with some specs and some production changes, which I will go over at the end of the video in my final category that I'd like to go over. So one thing I do want to notice here too, or show you guys, is it comes in a nice hard shell case here. I don't typically, show off what the knives come in when I'm doing my full review, but I think that when you get such a nice, hard shell case with some padding in here, I think that's really cool. You see that more on custom models, more of really high-end price ones. So I think that's just a really cool addition that you're getting. It kind of gets baked into the price there. So but jumping into materials, so this is a full titanium build, and then is the stone milling pattern. You guys can see it is just the whole handle, or both the handles are milled. You have some vertical milling, some horizontal milling, and some kind of sideways milling there, and it makes for a great texture. I really like how it feels in the hand. It is dual thumb studded with a frame lock. You have a loop over style wire deep carry clip that I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be reversible or not. So I don't see it here in the production changes, but they could have made, this was back in July, so I'm sure some other stuff maybe could have happened as he got more feedback for people. But as you guys can see on here on the back spacer, this is a prototype. Here is ATR, which are his initials. If you guys can see this or not, right there. And then on the flip, or the tang here, you guys can see it is 3 of 4. Hope you guys can see that. So there's 4 prototypes, and this is number 3 of 4. So you have an M390 blade with a hollow grind, which is beautiful. It's a compound hollow grind. You have a nice forward finger choil here. There is the RR logo. It's a pretty hefty knife. There is plenty of internal milling going on though on both sides. There is 1, 2, 3, and there's 3 milling pockets on both the show scale and the show side. The show scale and the lock bar scale side. But overall, this is a 5.07 ounce weighted knife. So it's not like super, lightweight or anything like that. But again, you're talking about a big, titanium build here with a, I think it's a 3.6 inch blade. Yes. And the blade steel on this is M390, but the production version is going to be MagnaCut, which is really, really cool. I love seeing MagnaCut being kind of worked into more production models and stuff like that. Yeah, so like I said, dual thumb stud, lock or frame lock. What else am I missing here? It's on ceramic bearings and has a ceramic detent ball, which is nice. Each RR standard will be numbered for the production versions. It's all T8 hardware, which is cool. I never really tend to go over that, but all T8 instead of having a T8 pivot and like T6 body screws is cool. And that's something else I want to go over is you don't see a whole lot of screws. You have the pivot and then 2 screws right here, and then basically the same. Back here you have 4 because you have the lock bar insert, but it's a very clean body. I love how it's kind of like squared off, but it also has some tapering back here. It's just a really cool knife, and I love how the whole blade just hides into the handle. I tend to love when knives do that because it just keeps the lines and the overall schematic of the knife very, very clean. And I have to applaud him for doing that. So I think that's all for materials. Like I said, I'm going to go over the rest of the production changes in my last category, but on to action. So the detent on this thing is very, very stiff. It takes a little bit to get used to. My thumb was definitely a little raw the first day that I got this in from flicking it so much. But once you break it, it just flies out of there. It's very snappy. And as long as you can get used to, giving enough pressure, and, you have to kind of give it that break-in period that I kind of give, call it, because every knife is different. There have been plenty of knives that I've had in my collection or that I've got to check out from doing reviews that have kind of torn my thumb up for like the first day or two fidgeting with it, but it ends up turning out to be just fine. And this was the case with this. And I remember other people in the group chat that I'm in on on Instagram, talk about how stiff the detent was and stuff like that. So I kind of knew about it coming in that it was going to be stiff. And it definitely lived up to expectations. But like I said, once you get used to it, once your thumb kind of gets used to flicking it as well as your middle finger, it's not bad. And it's just very satisfying. It gives off great acoustics. It just thunders out of there. It's not a drop shutty knife at all, but it's very smooth. So most oftentimes the flipper tab, it's not even a flipper tab, it's just the blade tang hits my nail, and then I just shake it, close a few times. It can hit your nail, and you can just shake and close once. Depending on where your thumb is on the lock bar, see, it can come down and catch you. I'm surprised I'm not bleeding from that, but because oftentimes when you do that, the corner here from the choil will swing right down and hit you right in the cuticle. I believe like the first day or the second day that I had this, I learned how to do that, and it caught my cuticle right and it started bleeding. So that just depends if you want a bigger, drop, or if you're content with the shake shut like I am. It's not that big of a deal. So very, very smooth. There's maybe just a hair of blade play, but for the most part, it's very solid. So action is good. Definitely one of the stiffer detents I think I've ever handled on a knife, but I think it works. And like I said, for the 5th time now, once you get used to it, it's not bad at all. So next up is Ergos. And the Ergos are good on this. You have a very generous forward finger choil here. You have another indent here for your finger, and then it's just straight back on top and bottom. It's kind of a thicker, chunkier type of knife. It's definitely not the thinnest in the world, but it works. Excuse me. It works well at that. You do have a little bit of jimping right here, so you can choke back, and I can still easily get 4 fingers on here. I could probably add a 5th if I had a second pinky, but then choked up is very, very comfortable. You get a really good grip if you're going to be doing push cuts or something precise you're cutting around or cutting out. The stone milling pattern on this I think feels fantastic. It just adds a little bit more texture to the knife, because here on the website, the normal standard and the blacked out version don't have milling. I'm sure that they feel great in hand too, but this is such a unique milling pattern because you literally have vertical, horizontal, right? Vertical, horizontal, and then both of the sort of chamfered areas here are coming in at an angle. So it just is kind of a plethora of milling, but it feels really good in the hand, gives you a great purchase. And overall, it's super comfortable. The titanium has a little bit of chamfering. The edges are contoured here and there a little bit. There's no sharp edges. So overall, it's, very, very comfortable, and, no complaints at all. And that choil, you really get a very good purchase if you're going to be doing something precise and you need to be careful of what you're doing. Next up is carry. And like I've already stated, this is kind of a heavier knife, just coming in a little over 5 ounces, but it carries pretty well for a knife that size. With this wire pot clip, I think it works well. I love wire clips. They're just so functional, but like low key, just because they never seem to snag on anything. They're just there, and they're not, obtrusive. They're not gonna, like I said, snag or catch on anything. And they typically make for a very good ergonomic experience, which I guess I forgot to mention for the Ergos, but it does work very, very well. But for carry, it just drops right in your pocket. You have no flipper tab or anything to worry about catching your hands on over here. Drops very well. I did toss this in gym shorts, I think, one day, and I did notice a little bit, definitely more than some other knives that I've typically been tossing in there, but it's no big deal. I don't think this is a knife that you're going to be actively carrying with you throughout the day in gym shorts or sweatpants. This is a big beefy knife that I think you're going to be using, work pants or, jeans with a belt on it to make sure that it's not going to be, falling down or anything like that, falling out of your pocket. But, overall, for being a 5 ounce knife, for being a pretty big, to me, this is a big knife. I tend to stick to 3.5 or under blades. And this is right at 3.6, so it's a little bit bigger than I typically would, try to buy, but overall carries well. And it's not like there's no internal milling going on at all. Like I said, there's on both the show scale and the luck bar side, there's 3 pockets each. So they definitely did their part to try to make it a little bit lighter. And I think if they hadn't have done that, it would kind of feel like a brick in the pocket. So I'm glad they did. But overall, carry is good. I love wire clips. They're just so easy and so functionable, and just a big fan of them. So that takes me to my final category of price point and would I recommend this knife. So guys, if you're a fan of this design, then yes, I will recommend this knife all day. It's cool when new designers come out with something that's not, it's not a knife you're going to see every day. From the handle design to how it tucks in. I know, knives like that happen all the time to where it tucks in and it's nice and slim and streamlined and stuff like that. But but the blade is different. You know, you kind of have this swedge build in here. You have a compound hollow grind, which is just stupid thin behind the edge. It's going to be in Magna Cut. You get this really cool milling pattern, or you can get a plain or DLC handled version as well if you're not into the milling pattern. So, you know, I really just can't complain. The action is good. D10 is a little stiff, but once you get used to it, you'll be banging this thing out like nobody's business. Has a nice shake shut drop to it. It's very smooth, very satisfying. You get a good thundering kind of thwack every time you fire it out of there. So overall, I have to recommend this knife to you guys. I think it's a great, you know, it's a great story behind it. Like I said, it's named after his dad that tragically passed away, and he stuck with it. He continued to grind at it, and this is what came out of it. So I think it's a cool design. I did miss the pre-order, but I'm definitely going to be kind of on the watch out for when he gets the production order in, and we'll do a drop. If I were to get a version of it, I'm definitely going to get this milled one just because it's different and it's great in the hands. It's great ergonomically. Excuse me, ergonomically. And like I said, it's just different. I love how each, you know, section of the knife is kind of up, you know, horizontal, vertical, sideways, whatever you want to call it. It's just different, but it's very comfortable in the hand. Choil works well, Magna Cut titanium, you know, ceramic bearings, everything like that. So I have to give him a round of applause. It's a great design, and hopefully he, you know, it's sold out on the website, so apparently it did well. Hopefully he takes that and continues to, you know, want to grow his brand, because I think, you know, if he were to make a little bit smaller of a version of this, I think it would sell well as well. It would sell well as well, guys. I'm sorry for that one. But I think, you know, some people might have seen this, liked the design, and not liked the size of it. So I think maybe like a 3.1 inch blade would definitely draw a lot more people in. So maybe he'll do that in the future. Maybe he already has some other designs cooked up. Again, go check out his Instagram and his website down below, which will be linked in the description if you're interested. And yeah, cool knife. I'm really glad I got to check it out. And it's just a cool story behind it, and that's what really just gets me. So this was my full review on the RR Standard, which is a Knife Standards prototype design. It currently sold out of the pre-order, but again, go check out the website and the Instagram if you're interested in following it or learning more about it. So yeah, guys, that's all I have to say today about it. Leave a comment down below. Did you guys get it on the pre-order? Is it your first time seeing it? You know, are you going to maybe check out his stuff in the future, see when he does a drop of them, stuff like that? I love hearing from you guys. So that's all for today, guys. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.